Let me just say that there are some wonderful, wonderful oil pastel sets out there. Sennelier, Picasso wanted to have Sennelier created so he can have stick forms of some of his wonderful, rich colors. Wonderful, a bit costly, but wonderful. I use Caran d'Ache. You can buy these in the colors that you want, and you can see, oh my goodness, they're just so lush and beautiful, and I love them very much. But for this project, I wanted to see what we could do with just a very basic, inexpensive, easily affordable, basic set of oil pastels. So you can see we kind of run through the whole rainbow arrangement of colors with this. And I have a sheet of watercolor paper here. It's good heavy watercolor paper. It'll take the oil pastels really well. Now, I often like to look at the old masters. Claude Monet, my goodness, the way he used color, the way he made his marks, just incredible. You know, each of us is very, truly an artist. It's inherent in us. I mean, humans were creating art on the walls of caves long before they decorated their bowls. And they were doing tattoos for themselves, decorating their bodies. Art is really a necessity in a human being's life, and everyone has their own approach and their own way of making a mark. The maker's mark, that's what makes you so unique, and you can see it in Claude Monet's work. And so we're going to do enough here to explore our own maker's mark and see what works and what feels good for us. Your body knows this kind of a thing. So you just have to kind of give it a chance to find your technique. So we're going to start with some of the blues here. We're going to create the art of the fire, in that we'll be using mainly the colors that you'd find in fire. And you know, even down to the deepest blues, in some of the hottest part of the flame, there'll be a deep blue. So what I'm going to start with here is the very darkest blue. I always like to have the corners be darker at the top. It's as though, especially with the sky, it's as though this sky is coming forth from some distant place. So I'm just going to kind of put, not real heavy, but just a nice coating of the very deepest blue we have. And then I work my way through to the next. It looks very much like a cobalt. So for the sky, to me, I kind of tend to go in kind of up and down strokes, maybe cloud-like strokes. And I'm going to go right over some of that deep blue and carry it down into my drawing. So we're going from dark blue down to cobalt, and the cobalt is blending in with the very deepest ultramarine blue to give it a little bit of a color difference, just like that. Maybe a little more darkness in the corners. And you'll see if any of the little white spots show through, they're going to look very much like stars, remnants of stars left over in the sky. So the blending actually happens with the layering of the oil pastels on each other. Now I'm going to take a little lighter blue, which is probably like a sky blue, and start to blend that in as the next layer. And again, let my body find its mark, its way of moving. The mark of a maker shows the body. It shows how the body moves when it's creating art. It's a very unique thing to each of us. You may like to go in kind of a up and down pattern, but we do want it to blend. So I'm going to go back and put in a little bit more cobalt to blend where they meet. Filling in a little bit of that white. So we're getting a little bit of a nice transition there. And I bring this blue down a bit. And then I go into my yellow. And with my yellow, I'm going to go over the last blue. Each time, each new color overlaps the last color. And that's where the blending comes in. It'll be turning to kind of a green, the yellow with the blue. And then I always like to have a paper towel around so that I can clean off the tip of it if it needs it. So I have a cloth to clean it off. Tear my paper off a bit. Clean off the end. And then really get that yellow going. And this is going to be like Monet, the setting sun over water. So we're going to have the yellow coming through, remnants of it in that blue part of the sky. And then we go on to a bit of the orange. I'm going to just put on some of the orange. And blend it in with the yellow on top. If I see any other colors, I just kind of wipe off the tip. We want this blending to kind of come between the tones. And then with each layering, we're coming up with brand new colors, unique to the picture. And then from the orange, we're going to shift over to a bit of red. And the red kind of comes in, and then I use the orange to do the blending. Using always the color before to kind of blend it in. Now as we get to this watermark, we're going to just reverse the pattern but keep to the same colors, and it's going to be coming down in a more of a horizontal for the water's edge. So we're going to get the red in, and then switch over to the orange. So it's as though this water is reflecting all the tones of the sky. And then into the yellow. Now, with the horizontal streaks of the water, any of the white that shows through, we want that to be kind of horizontal too. It'll be as though they're waves picking up some highlights from the sky. And we keep peeling our colors down. See, this is the thing I wanted to see. Basic color sets, how they do, how well you can work with them, blending. Different sets blend in different ways. And now I'm going to take white and just kind of give it a little bit of a texture. Make sure I have any of the dark colors off. But again, any colors that come through, I kind of like. They're carrying through the same colors we've used before, and just kind of use a little white for a bit of blending right at the horizon line. Now from the yellow, we're going to go back to that very pale blue. Put a light coat of the pale blue on. Use my yellow again to blend into that. We start to get some of the rich turquoise colors, the blue-greens that we see in water coming through, some of the white waves, and then down to the cobalt blue. Again, a reflection of the sky. And we'll blend that in with the very lighter sky blue. So we're using basically the same colors in a reverse order and with a bit of a different stroke. And then at the very bottom, the deepest ultramarine coming in. Horizontally, kind of like the waves, especially in the corners. And then I want to simulate the waves. I want to take my ultramarine blue, and again, I'm peeling some of the paper off, just like a Crayola. And I want to make W's and Y's. Just kind of letting it be kind of wave-like, coming through the very darkest with the ultramarine, and then with the white. I'm working on a piece of brown craft paper, and you can use that to clean off your pieces too. Just kind of scrape them clean. And the white, again doing W shapes and kind of Y shapes to make it look like waves coming in. And then we want this to look like this is actually the horizon. We need something to appear there. So I looked through my photographs, and this very kind of alien landscape actually comes from Washington, D.C. And I like that it's the dome. And then again, what this reminds me of is something from Star Wars or something like that. And so I started to work with some different concepts of what a city or something, an exotic place off to the background might look like. So with my dark blue, a little above the halfway mark, I'm going to just make a horizontal and just kind of using the tip, kind of make some shapes. Maybe a tower. Maybe a roof kind of a thing. Pagoda. Definitely a dome. And some kind of interesting looking things coming up that eventually come down to the water line. And then with my outline, I'm going to just take some red and kind of fill in some of this with the red. We want to have the same colors going through everything. When you use the same colors going through the main objects and the background, it really makes it all work together and flow together a lot more. It seems to just work that way. And then I'm going to take a little bit of black and just kind of, I don't use much black, but I just want to kind of get some of the roof shapes in, maybe some of the windows, some kind of, give it a little more form to some of the buildings, the dome. And this is just to give it a bit of shading, because the buildings and all of this would end up very dark against the sunset. Very, very dark. And we don't even have to know exactly what it is we're looking at. Just kind of get some of those shapes in. Some things going on here. And then back to my deep ultramarine blue. And just kind of going, I go in a circular motion and kind of blend it. Some of the red shows through. Some of the other colors show through. But we're getting the shapes of the buildings. Kind of go over the black so the black is not so black. Turns out to be more of a deeper ultramarine blue. Again, not filling it all in, but just kind of getting the basic shapes. So it looks like some kind of a city happening. Some kind of interesting architecture. I'm going to take red again and go across the bottom. All kind of blends. And then with that blue again, I carry these shapes kind of in a ripple down lightly, as though it's a reflection on the water, kind of mimicking some of those shapes. And our dome. And some of the towers. And kind of judging, you know, how tall things are made to look. And meeting over like that. And then going over that with a little bit of the red. You know, you don't have to be real specific about making everything real detailed. We're giving the impression. These were impressionists. We're giving the impression of what it was. That little peak, the dome. And then if there's maybe anything else I'd want to do, I might want to take my white and just kind of blend in some of these places here and there where it could use a little blending. Make something over here that it looks like something else is kind of beyond. Another little formation. And if there's anything else I might want to do is just give it a crescent moon. A bit of a moon up ahead. Above. And then I use a cloth to kind of wipe off any excess buildup. And there we have it. A nice little oil pastel where the colors all work together, they blend together. It's kind of in the style of Monet, and it's done with a very basic set of oil pastels where we have all the colors blending and working together. So this is really how all of the videos are going to be in the WabiSabi class. You'll see me do it, you come out with a finished product. When done in the order as I do it, it comes out to be a finished work of art every time. So, thanks for listening, and I hope to see you at my class. Bye for now.